Greetings. We continue again in your spiritual growth. We're on the second major point, the ingredients of your spiritual growth. And we're comparing the list of 1 Peter chapter 1 with Galatians chapter 5, the fruit of the Spirit, and the description of the attributes of love from 1 Corinthians 13:4. So then Peter says we add with haste temperance in verse 6. Paul uses the same word temperance in Galatians 5:23. And in 1 Corinthians 13:5, he describes it as does not behave itself unseemly. That's what self-control or temperance does. Then Peter says add with haste in verse 6 patience. Paul uses the word long-suffering in Galatians 5:22 and endures all things in 1 Corinthians 13:7. Then Peter says we add with haste godliness. The word peace is used in Galatians 5:22, and 1 Corinthians 13:7 simply says is not easily provoked. Then Peter says add with haste brotherly kindness. Galatians 5:22 describes it as gentleness. And 1 Corinthians 13:7 simply says, is kind. Then Peter says, add with haste, charity. That's the love of God. He simply uses the word love in Galatians 5:22. And 1 Corinthians 13:7 says, does not seek her own things. That is the difference between the love of God and all other descriptions of love that we have, is that God's love gives without regard to whether it's going to receive anything in return or not. So therefore, does not seek its own things is a good definition. The final thing that we must see clearly is that Peter is stressing our personal responsibility. Your particular faith, virtue, knowledge, temperance, patience, kindness, godliness, and love. Peter is talking about these things which you're supposed to have in possession. Let me make this clear. You cannot grow as the result of someone else's possession of these attributes. You must make them your own possessions. Someone else's faith cannot increase your own faith, neither for salvation nor for service. Someone else's virtue cannot increase your own virtue, etc. You get the idea. So then let's move to the third major point. The increasing of these things is spiritual growth. It is a statement of fact to the ones of divine nature having escaped the corruption that is in the world system through lust. Certainly these things are existing and are abounding in you all. See, a child is born with all the characteristics of the parents, which become more and more evident as the child grows toward maturity. Peter is affirming this is true of our divine nature, which was acquired by our spiritual birth. If you have been born again, it is a fact you possess these things. And it is also a fact that you should be abounding in them. A second statement of fact is then set forth. These things are making you all neither without works nor without fruits with respect to the recognition of our particular Lord Jesus Christ.